What's up, all my folks out in YouTube land? Daryl, also known as The Finisher. Hey, I'm starting to hear a lot of conversations online and more in the service business area. I mean, I hear it other places, but I do the service business, so that's what I focus on. And of course, directly the handyman business, but service business in general. I'm starting to hear more and more people talk about getting in debt, getting these credit cards and getting loans and all this business credit and all this stuff that you need to start a business. And I'm trying to figure out, why on earth would anybody tell somebody just starting out to get in debt for a handyman business or something like that? Why would you do that? So we're gonna go into a conversation of why you should absolutely not go in debt to start your handyman business. First things first, business is something that evolves. All right, you gotta start. We all gotta start somewhere. You know, I said it before. When I started, there's certain things I realized that I needed. You know, I needed a professional style drill or driver because, I mean, you know, a lot of the homeowner level tools, they're just not gonna hold up. I was working in an old shed from like the early 1900s, and they used real wood. You know, when the 2x4 was actually 2x4, right? And man, I was trying to drill through this wood, and something inside of the drill snapped. I just heard pop. It was like, and this is like one of my first jobs I was doing. So it was apparent that I was gonna need real deal tools. And you know, I'm Team Makita all day. But I didn't start out getting all of the Makita tools that you could find. I went out and got a driver. But all right, let me give you an example of the evolution of my tools. All right, here's an example of a tool evolution. All right, this right here. See this Bosch GTL3. This was my first laser level or laser. What this does is, of course, see that right here? You line it up with the edge of a tile, and it'll give you, you know, your 90 degrees, and this will give you your 45s. I mean, it's useful for certain things. The problem is, it's not, you know, it's like you can't see it. Like once it gets out a little bit of distance, it's hard to see unless you like almost turn the lights off. But this was my first one. Then I went with this, the Bosch is GLL250. Now, another red laser. So it'll do what it needs to do. Nothing wrong with this. You know, nice little straight laser. It probably doesn't have the, oh, yep, you can get that, the little cross line. Not a bad laser, not bad at all, right? But this will do all the things. This is all you need. You need the base level laser. You can do most jobs that require laser with this, right? Then I stepped it up to the green laser. Why? Just cause, you know, I liked it. This one, as you see, I'm gonna shine it down on here. This is the GCL 100-40G. And you know what? Hey, I give it up to Bosch. I like their laser levels, so I just do. So I like the green, and it got where I could really see it very well. No matter what the light was, and I put up so much crown and trim with this one that it ain't even funny, man. Nothing wrong with this, but the price went up. But then lastly, this is what I use now. The professional GLL 3-330CG. This one is the 3-dimensional laser. You know, it barks at you and tells you when it's out of level. It has Bluetooth on it. I mean, it'll give you plumb, you know, so you can, if you need to set walls and all that, like do basement walls, you got this thing right here. It'll do that for you. But, and I have extra batteries, right? So I have batteries for it. But there was an evolution. It took me years to finally evolve to get this. And when I did, it was like, okay, you know, I got a little extra money. I need some tax write-offs. Let me go ahead and I've been wanting this laser for a long time. Let me go ahead and just get this. I'm gonna live luxurious. And that's what happened. This is how it goes. You don't have to start here, right? This is what you got to get loans for and get $400 or $500 lasers and all that. But you don't need that to start. You just don't. You don't even need that to finish. It's just a beautiful thing. I think it works wonderful, and I'm happy that I bought it. This is all I use now. But these all will do just fine, right? They'll do just fine, and you don't have to break the bank as soon as you start. Here's another example of my tool evolution. Look, I feel like Flossie Carter right now, you know what I mean, doing my cell phone reviews. But this is an HDX. Dude, they don't even sell these, man. Was this before Rigid? This might have been before Rigid. But it's an air nailer. It's a 18 gauge air nailer. Dude, these were Home Depot. Home Depot X. Like, I don't know, whatever. This was their store brand. Dude, this thing was, and it still works. But this thing was so cheap. I got the whole set. I mean, I got this one, a 16 gauge, a pin nailer, everything. It was like 4 of them for like $120. New, I mean, brand new. Right? Then I went with the Bostitch. Look at that thing. Let's see if the name scratched off. I mean, this thing has been putting in work for years. Now, like I told you, I had to go with the Milwaukee now because this one was just outdated. And I mean, truthfully, it wasn't setting the nails anymore. I mean, I was having to go back. I put some trim in, man. I mean, I'd spend an hour or more going back to reset the nails. But 4 or 5 years, man, it served its time, man. It was a really good nailer. And here's now. You know, I had the Milwaukee 18 gauge. This thing is beautiful, right? But my whole point is that I didn't start with this one. You don't have to do that. You can. You're gonna have to choose where you place your money in the beginning, like what's more important, the priorities. But a nailer wasn't my biggest concern. I have other air nailers. You know what I mean? Even when I upgraded from this, I upgraded to a Bostitch air nailer. You know, for a 16 gauge, it's for when I was doing a lot of hardwood flooring. But my whole point is that you don't have to start out at the top. You can start with the HDX. That doesn't even exist anymore. You can start here, okay? Nothing wrong with it, man. This thing did a lot of floors. Me and this thing did a lot of some trimming and floors and everything. I put a lot of baseboards in with this thing. And guess what? The baseboards and trim, they're doing all just fine, all right? So, a little more inconvenient, but whatever. Do what you gotta do. By the way, anything that you see that you might like, I'll have links in the description for any tools and anything that I use. Just to always forget to say that. So you see, you don't need a ton of new tools to get started. Matter of fact, go to some yard sales. You know, you'll be surprised. There's I've run into so many older guys out here that are getting rid of all their tools because they just don't need them. They just don't need them anymore. They're older, they're out of the game. So, you know, they're living in condos now and places where, you know, you got assisted living. They just need to get rid of their tools now. So people will sell stuff at these garage sales. Look on, you know, the marketplaces online, all that. Get some hand-me-downs tools, some used tools. Don't go out and you don't have to get all the latest and greatest, most expensive things out there. Trust me on that. All right, next is there are a lot of free and low-cost resources to promoting your business. One thing that helped me is, you know, like I said, well, let me say this. When I first started, I had the website, I put flyers out, and I did get on Home Advisor after I'd say the first month or two. I got on Home Advisor, but that wasn't, Home Advisor helped me to start, but it wasn't the only place because I did have flyers out. I did have tentacles out everywhere. So I ended up getting business off of the flyers too. It was just when I first started, like my first month, it was dead. It was super dead. So I kind of, I was starting to panic a little bit, and I needed to rush because I was in a situation where I needed the money now, right? But anyway, now Home Advisor is trash. So I wouldn't say that as a viable option, and you're gonna have to have a lot of money to pump into those companies if you don't have that from the start. So I'm like, use the free resources that are out there. You of course got to Google My Business. You have Facebook, Instagram, Nextdoor. One thing I really like about Nextdoor, which it didn't exist when I was first starting. Nextdoor wasn't an app yet. But is that every time I go on there, every time, somebody's always asking the other, homeowners in the area, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you know somebody who does this? Do you know somebody who does that? And you know what I see in my area? I see the same 1 or 2 contractors, 1 or 2 handyman in those comments every time. Hey, I do that. Give me a call. I do that. Send me a message, or I'll send you a message. I do that. It's only 1 or 2 guys that's always in their comments. I'm saying, like, get in those comments. Look in your Nextdoor app. See if because they're always asking for people to do something. Okay, and that could be your boost to get started. I'm always about getting the website. A domain name. I mean, let's be real. A domain name is like $10. Okay, and this is the thing. I'm gonna be honest. Domain name's $10. To web hosting, you could go. I think like Wix, you could start your website for free. But you could do Squarespace, Wix, and even if you pay a little more, a lot of times it's $20, $30 a month. We're not talking about things you have to get loans for. And let me tell you something. I mean, even if you should have $100 a month to put towards something, you don't start a business if you don't have $100. Like you got to have something. Like the idea that you just, sometimes I see people out here that want to have, nothing. There's 2 ends of the spectrum. I'm saying don't go in debt. I'm not saying that you're gonna get started for absolutely free. You gotta have something, right? But $30, spend the money. You know what I mean? Spend the $30 or whatever to have a web hosting, and then because it makes it very easy to build your website, and then they host it. And they have a stable platform. You can make the most beautiful website, and it won't cost you much money. You don't have to have the best business cards. You don't have to have your car wrapped. I know. You get a lot of people say, hey, go ahead and get that refrigerator magnet off the truck, man, and go ahead and get yourself wrapped and be a real business. Well, guess what? If they're not paying for it, they need to shut up. Okay? My thing is like, I've gotten plenty of business. I've never had my truck wrapped. I don't plan on it. I'm not getting my trailer wrapped. Now, I don't want to grow. And this is another thing. I have no plans on growing into having multiple trucks. I'm doing other things. I have no interest in growing this to a large scale company, right? So if that's the case, as a handyman, I just don't need it. I don't need to wrap my truck. I don't need that. You got to work on your presentation. You are selling your services. Okay? There are plenty of salesmen I see that are working for companies that pull up in their vehicle and it's not wrapped or anything, but their presentation is no joke. That's what you're going to have to work on. And guess what? That's free. I walk in somebody's house. This is before I had the iPad. I walk in with a notepad, and I was very thorough. All the questions I had, all the details. I would talk to the customer. They understood the knowledge. It was just you're selling your services. You're selling yourself, selling your services, and that's free too. Don't get no loan for this stuff, man. One of the reasons that you don't want to go in debt is that you want to keep the profits in your business. The more profits that you have, the more other things you can do. If you just have payments going out, you had to go out and get a new truck. You had to go out and get a new trailer. You had to go out and get a bunch of new tools. You had to just spend money on top of money on top of money for every little thing. And you're, going 10, 20, 30,000 in debt. You get the new truck, then you got to get it wrapped and the windows tinted, and none of these things help you sell jobs. Now, it increases your professionalism. I would say if I was a big time contractor and I had a fleet of trucks, then yes, of course, in that situation, you might want to have your vehicles wrapped, right? I still don't say you have to have all new vehicles. That's reserved for companies that they got so much profit at the end of the year that they need to put it somewhere. They're buying these vehicles as tax write-offs. That's not you. That's not you when you're first starting out. When I first started, I used to just decide on a certain job to say, I'm not gonna make anything off this job because this money is gonna go towards buying this ladder. So this job, okay, it's a $400 job. This ladder I need for the job is gonna cost me $350. That's what it is. So I'm accepting that I'm not gonna make any money off this job, okay? And I just did that. I would do that when I needed to because all the profit was coming to me, right? Because I didn't have a bunch of payments. I didn't have a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on, so I was able to then take money and say, okay, I need this tool over here. When it was time for me to get a trailer, because I went the first year and a half with no trailer, where when it rained, I had to stand in the Lowe's, like under the parking area at Lowe's, and wrap drywall in plastic so it wouldn't get wet going to the job, right? But I did it, and guess what? I didn't die. I didn't fall apart. I didn't be like, I wish I had a trailer. I was wishing that, but it was like, nope, I don't want to finance it though. I don't want to finance anything. I waited until I got to the point I was able to buy the trailer cash. And guess what? All my stuff is paid off. All my tools, all my vehicle, like everything, the trailer, everything, anything you see me have, it's all paid for. It's your boy, Brostradamus, aka Homie One Kenobi. Listen to Daryl. Don't go into debt to start this business. Also, like and subscribe to get some more of this Handyman 2.0 work. And finally, the future of your business may depend on you having the money and you not having all these loans and all these credit cards and all these other things out here. There's a reason why they say like 85% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. You might want to think it's just because the customers and you can't get customers. No, there are plenty of customers out here. I say, if you ever think you're gonna really, really struggle in a handyman type of business, just drive around. I'm not even talking about a big city. You could be in a small area, whatever. Drive around, and I don't know, just start counting the houses. I did a job one time for a guy that was in my area. He's a big time store owner. He owns like 3 or 4 local stores, and I don't know, he found me in Google for a drywall job. Went to his house. Dude was like a $1.5 million house that he wasn't even living in. He's like, they hadn't been living there for like 3 or 4 years, but I guess now they were trying to think about selling it. So had me working on a bunch of stuff or whatever, but mostly drywall. And I was talking to him, right? He would come, see what I was doing. He just gave me a key to come and go as I please. But I still, I'd always call him before I got there. But I get to the house and I'd be working and he'd come by and then we'd just be talking, man. And I'd be picking his brain. And one thing he always told me was that all the guys that he knew that went out of business, say 2008, when 2010, when everything was falling apart, he was like, all the companies that had all the trucks and everything and had all the things that were financed and had put everything on credit cards and all these things, when the work started drying up, they couldn't pay their bills. And then that was it. That's what wiped so many companies out, was being in debt. So why would you go online and listen to all these people out here talking business credit, get these credit cards, the first thing you need to do, because the credit card points, I ain't on the Dave Ramsey thing, but credit card companies are undefeated. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell, they put in work. You think they have this point system because, I don't know, as a favor to you? You know what I mean? It's kind of like all the social media stuff. It's like, I explained it to my kids, like, you think these companies spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to put all this money to build these apps, to build an app or something like that, just purely for your entertainment. That's why they're spending millions to build it and then millions to run it, all just so you can smile when you see the video. That's what you think? And I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying never ever use credit, never use business credit cards, never anything like that. I'm saying you have to get to a point when it's not going to destroy your business to use it. But in the beginning, when you're trying to start up, you all this and that, to go ahead and get in debt, and then what? Then what? The economy changes and leaves you stuck, and then you're sitting there not able to pay your bills and not able to feed your family because you didn't listen to some clown on YouTube tell you that the first thing you need to do is go get business credit. I promise you, if you go around to the people on YouTube who actually have businesses that they can show you, actually do this work. They're actually out here doing the work, and they can show you receipts. They can show you that you can see them working in people's houses every day. I guarantee those guys, they ain't telling anybody to get financing. They're not telling anybody to get out here and get loans and loan your life away to get a business started. That's a promise. Well, there it is, and there you have it. Daryl, also known as the finisher. Don't go in debt to start your business. Don't do it. Keep as much money in your pocket as you can and try to cash flow it as long as you can. All right? So, till next time, like, comment, subscribe. Stay safe, be blessed, and remember, if the trades don't work, nothing else does.